Hi, I'm Ted Santos, and I'm with Straight Talk, and we come to you every Sunday live, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we talk about life, love, and relationships from a man's perspective. And today like to have a somewhat different conversation with you. I'd like to focus on money, specifically economic power. And some of you might think that this conversation is going to sound like it's out of this world or from another planet. Perhaps it is. And this is the perspective that I need to come from for this conversation. So I want to start off talking about economic power. Lots of people confuse being able to buy things. So perhaps you have a job that pays you $300,000 a year. You have a company, and your company's doing quite well. If let's say your company, you have 50 to 60 employees, you're grossing about $10 million, which means after all your expenses and taxes are paid, that leaves you about $1 million to put in your pocket. Still not a lot of economic power. So what are we talking about when we say economic power? We're saying, looking at it in Google, down on that planet, economic power is the ability of countries, businesses, and individuals to improve their standard of living. It increases their freedom to make decisions that benefit themselves alone. So if it's for a country, or it's for a business, or even an individual, you're improving your standard of living for the country, business, or individual. It reduces the ability of any outside force to reduce their freedom. Do you understand that? When you have economic power, it's very difficult for someone on the outside to reduce your freedom, your economic freedom. Now, it also says purchasing power is a significant component of economic power. So purchasing power is not economic power, even though having purchasing power is one of the outcomes of economic power. Something else to clear up with power. People often think power and authority are the same, and this is going to be important as I walk through this conversation of economic power. Authority in government, right? Authority is often used interchangeably with power. However, their meanings differ. While power is the ability to order or accomplish a goal or to influence others, authority refers to a claim of legitimacy, the jurisdiction and right to exercise that power. So, when there are families out there like the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, the Astors, the Morgans, the Carnegies, the Kennedys, these families have economic power. And it's not just money they have. They own water supply. They own iron ore mines. They own gold mines, rubber trees, coffee. They own land to grow food. And that gives them the right to have power, even over those who have authority. So your government legislators have the authority and jurisdiction to pass laws. Except when you own the water supply, well, you have power even over the government. So what I'm getting at is, to have economic power, you really have to own things. And natural resources is the greatest thing you can own to have power. And when you have that kind of power, you walk to your legislators and you give them the authority to pass the laws that you want passed. You actually write those laws. So, for example, if I owned an iron ore mine, I can actually create a company to extract that iron ore out of the earth, right? And then I take that company and I process that iron ore, right? I separate the iron from other minerals that are in the earth, in the dirt, And then I can start to create products. I can create products to make silverware. I can make products, steel to make beams for large buildings. I can make products to make iron and steel for machines and for cars. But with that kind of economic power, I just created a ton of jobs. Now, if I really want to create a powerful family, I now ask my cousin to create a company that builds cars. He builds cars. I asked my other cousin to create a company that builds engines for the cars. The steel, he molds the steel to make the engines to put into the car. And they both, and I have another cousin who makes machinery that I use to do mining, to mine the iron ore, to drill. I have a sister, and I ask her to negotiate for rubber trees so that she can make tires for the car that my cousin is producing. And I have another sister who I ask to create a financial institution. And this is all in the family. So we're almost talking about tribal or a clan, and within that clan you have tribes in that clan, and they're all taken care of. And if someone wants to stop us from being prosperous, they're going to have a very difficult time, because we're going to own iron ore. We're going to need water supply. We're going to need food to feed our clan. So we're going to have to buy land. We're going to have to buy water. We're going to need all kinds of other resources like gold mines and silver mine and platinum mines and salt. So economic power isn't just about being able to buy the latest clothes and cars, Air Jordans. Hell, when you own the rubber trees, you can make those. And then you need land so that you can own cattle to make leather, and you need to make wool, you need sheep, you need land to grow cotton to make other clothes. This is creating economic power, very different than just buying stuff and bragging about, hey, you know, I've got the latest of everything, the latest video game. If people don't start thinking about how to create economic power, then you'll continue to be a consumer. And while all this, I named the situation, I own the iron ore mines down there on planet Earth, or even up here on the moon. My wife plays a very critical role in this economic power. Now, she could be working in the company. She could be an engineer, a lawyer. She could be a doctor or has her own practice. And all that's valuable. And she can make $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 a year. But if we're really working as a team, she's out there networking. While I'm building a business, she's helping me create other contacts. She's helping me, and my sister, who owns a financial institution, she's helping us create other access to money that may be abroad by speaking to the wives who are bankers and who own other companies that maybe we need to buy or purchase, or clients, people who will buy our tires and our automobiles and our trucks and our equipment and the clothes that we make or the food that we supply. So men and women working as teams is much more effective than men and women being in a battle of the sexes and competing. And if you watch closely, you will see the people who are at that top. I did a video about finding a woman in the top 2%. You'll be able to find that video where you can look for the kind of qualities that you want in a woman that will support you in building the kinds of legacies that I'm talking about. Economic power, not purchasing power. Economic power where it's very difficult for someone to actually reduce your economics and your freedom that you've created with the economics you have. An example of John D. Rockefeller Sr., he created Standard Oil, and people were pretty upset with him. They didn't like him. He was too rich. He was wealthy, beyond anyone else. And people would say, I'm not going to buy Rockefeller's oil. So they would go to his competitor across the street. What they didn't realize, he had already purchased the competitor and just left them with the same name they already had. So when you went across the street to buy from his competitor, you were still buying from Rockefeller. You just didn't know it. He made it almost impossible for you to take away his economic power. That's what I'm talking about. So a lot of people are competing men to men. Who's the toughest guy, especially on the internet. You want to be the internet thug. We have women who are just talking all this trash and invalidating. And even the guys invalidating the women. You'll never get to economic power with that. That's a team sport. That's going to require a lot of organization and working together. And while the guys are building that legacy, as you ladies understand and respect, we really do need the women in the background building networks and connections that have us be able to keep the pieces of the puzzle together in a way that we wouldn't do on our own. So even if you're buying real estate, you can buy 10 houses, or you can buy an apartment complex. Except if you look at buying 10 square blocks like the Chinese are doing right here in New Jersey, in Newark, New Jersey. It's one of those cities that was kind of gutted in the riots, and it's on a huge comeback right now. And the Chinese are coming in, and they're buying blocks, 10 square blocks at a time. And that will give them the economic power to go to the legislators and say, hey, change the names of the streets to Chinese name. Change this two-way street to a one-way, or reverse the direction of a one-way. We need laws that support our people. And that's when you have economic power. You have political power. And you can give politicians the authority to pass laws to do the things that you need. Understand the game instead of playing the game with one another. Share this video. Like it, comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And every Sunday, I'd love it if you call in and talk to me. We'll have a really exciting topic this Sunday. And I'll talk to you then. Bye.